Man, the body.
This crude tattoo partially covers a slave branding.
How can I show my appreciation?
This golden handle has a blood stain on it.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for the sub.
The dagger is heavy and sharp, but lacks balance. This worm-like sigil has been drawn with his own blood. A blunt force trauma may have suffered an internal hemorrhage. The victim has clenched the fabric so firmly in his fist that it's nigh impossible to remove it. The wound is deep. A precise strike reached the heart. He died right here.
Hey, Werner.
Werner, care to explain what is going on here?
On nights like these, it's not unusual for some attendees to get a little exuberant. It's part of the appeal. Unfortunately, it appears things have gotten out of hand. Yes, some are more prone to bend the rules of morality.
This guy
That's
doesn't have
murder.
any emotion type.
I doubt there's anything left to bend. Why did you not tell me immediately? We were chatting about trivial matters for some time.
If I'm completely honest, Sherlock, I've consumed a rather potent cocktail of substances. My attention slips and drifts. But I'm glad I thought to call for you.
You sent me a disguise.
Oh dear, did I? Well, since I found the body, Mr. Manchios has agreed that you can investigate the matter. I promise my mind will behave itself going forward.
All right. Pull yourself together, Werner.
Who's Manchios?
Mr. Manchios is the owner of the manor, yes?
And the host of Cordona's most memorable parties. He promises even the ugliest guest a partner for the night. And for the ones with more unconventional tastes, Mr. Manchios provides other services.
What a caring person.
You cannot begin to imagine.
How'd you find the body?
How did you discover the body? In between guzzles of alcohol?
I was set to perform in a fecundity rite with Fabio and came to inquire further. It was a staged ritual where he was to play the principle of life.
And the rehearsal was unsuccessful?
Huh. Who knows? I found him alone on the altar, his blood dripping to the floor.
And then?
Then I called Mr. Manchios. He was panicking, so I told him about you. We left the room and locked the door. Then we were
Filling time?
waiting for you was stressful. We indulged in some simple comforts. Overindulged, perhaps.
You know the victim.
Were you well acquainted with Fabio, the victim?
Everyone knew Fabio,
You
or
know, yeah,
wanted
he is.
to. His beauty was the talk of the island. Too handsome to go unnoticed. He was magnetic.
Just makes me
Fat
think he's like one of the
Wallace
villains
fought
in the
for
movies
privilege of
where
having him.
he's
He offered the pleasures of performance.
leading him on the
and
whole time.
more.
You don't realize he's the villain. Tell me about the ritual.
What about the fertility
I
ritual?
could be completely wrong.
There was something
I
about
just get that
Fabio
feeling
being
about him.
a principle of life.
Fabio was supposed to portray the beauty of life's origin. Flowers, oil. Not this travesty that seems straight out of the Inquisition.
So this ritual is not the fertility rite. What was it meant to look like?
Well, I don't think he's going to get
Begins with
pregnant.
a woman lying naked in a flower bed on the altar. She represents Gaia, the earth. As I cover her in oils, we chant for the principle. As our calls reach a climax, Fabio enters and copulates with her. After he finishes, I stab her with a dagger. That part's just pretend, of course.
But the intercourse is not?
I did not expect you to be such a prude. Are you a virgin? It is nothing to be ashamed of, but it would explain the color of your cheeks. The fertility rite marks the start of our festivities. The principle of life is beautiful, intimate, essential. It must not be stopped.
Yet it appears that someone did stop it. What about the naked woman? Can you tell me anything about her?
Oh yes, Matista. She's one of Fabio's compatriots and a performer too. I haven't seen her today, actually.
Room open?
When you discovered the body, was the door open?
No, it was locked. Oh, that reminds me. It's a minor detail, but the first time I came to speak to Fabio, I left without entering, having been unable to open the door.
You didn't have the key?
No, I had it. Don't look at me like that. I was mostly sober. I suspect there was a key in the other side of the door, blocking the lock.
That detail may very well be major, Werner. Well done. So you returned later only to find the lock was not blocked?
Correct. After an hour had passed, I tried again and was able to unlock the door. That's when I discovered poor, handsome Fabio.
Police know nothing?
The police remain unaware of this tragic event?
Some of them may be hiding behind their masks. They conceal many things. But we didn't want the authorities to create more problems. Besides, after a few cocktails, their incompetence will have soared to new heights.
How do you know I even want the case?
I promised you relaxation. If there's one thing I know about you, Sherlock, it's that nothing soothes you more than a good mystery.
Not wrong. Okay, so I didn't look all the way through here. He was here recently.
Enough cigars to burn down the entire mansion. Why don't people tidy up after themselves?
Oh, that's where they hit him in the head with, huh?
Blood. A sturdy bottle met a not-so-sturdy human. It didn't break only because it was unopened.
All right.
An open wound spoiled the carpet.
They must have been sitting here smoking a cigar. Some type of argument, somebody hit them in the head. The bottle. And then stabbed him. Fabio was killed in a ritual murder. Fabio was sacrificed on the altar during an occult ritual. Alright. Alright. Let's see. Okay, the key. Solve that. Private room where guests can smoke in comfort. There were droplets of blood on the carpet. Wine bottle stained. Okay, yeah. Oh.
A person leaned against the doorframe. They left a smudged trail of blood.
Look at this again. Sympathetic, sobering up. German artist. On the floor.
The wounded person was here for some time. A bloody handprint on an armchair. There appear to be no further traces leading to the altar.
So, Sherry, do you have any ideas about the case?
Perhaps, perhaps. I think I can deduce what happened here.
Well, good. Alright, so let's go into the room. We'll start. Begin. No, didn't stab him. About right. That could be right. No. That would be right. I would assume that'd be right. More in the other room. Yeah. Store that. Yep.
You're not even trying, Sherry. Concentrate.
Oh, probably because I don't know who the person is.
The bottle was used as a weapon during a scuffle in the smoking lounge. Then, to ensure no one would interrupt, the murderer locked the door. The unconscious body of the victim was moved to the altar room. Once the body was on the altar, the murderer thrust the dagger into the victim's heart. Symbols were drawn with the blood. The wardrobe was used to hide the bloodied robe from anyone's eyes. The killer washed himself and took a clean robe from the hanger before leaving.
Are you all right? You're on the floor, not moving.
I think I know what happened here.
Maybe it was assaulted in a nearby room. Ritual is cover. I believe the ritual is a cover. There we go. Murder had a key to the altar room. Murder was in a possession of a key to the altar room and locked the door. No, none of that. We found out who had the key to the altar room. Shrink the circle of suspects. Becca then hurried, locked the door. Fabi was dying. At the time, Fabi was dragged to the altar, pierced the chest with the dagger. Yep. I don't know if I can figure out who had the key, though. I might have to go. Look at it. All right. I guess we'll talk to him.
I'm starting to put the pieces together.
Fabio was stabbed.
I see nothing gets past you, Werner. Yes, he was stabbed, but only after being knocked out in the next room and placed here. I do not yet know why.
So, who's responsible?
Well, it was one person working alone, and the murderer has now donned a robe. He or she could be hiding in plain sight. We have lost time, Werner, but your discretion may prove to be a benediction after all.
I'll try that.
The murderer had to have access to this room. After the crime, he used his own key to lock the door. So, who had the key to the altar room?
I'm not sure. As a special guest, I was provided one by Mr. Manchios. He should be able to tell you of any others.
Where can I find him?
Most likely in the main hall, entertaining his guests. He has a mask with golden stars. You can't miss him. But please be discreet. We don't want to risk disturbing the revelry.
Oh, yeah. You?
Oh, there's beauties. Manchios is the best, as always.
Kurt Manchios, I presume. I'm Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, you must be the one Werner told me about. What a sweet voice you have. It must belong to a handsome young man. Can I call you Sherlock?
As you wish, Mr. Manchios. Mr. Vogel asked me to help you. The body in the altar room requires answers, and quickly. I suspect the murderer to still be here.
What? Lower your voice. I don't want anyone to hear us.
Who has access?
I need to find all those who had the key to the altar room. As far as I know, Mr. Vogel, Fabio, and you had access to it. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes. Also, Matista and Santos.
Santos? Who is that?
Santos Pinchetti, my major domo. In his opinion, at least.
I still think it's Matista. Because, when they're trying to drag him, it looked like they're having a hard time dragging the body. So I figured it's a woman that's having a hard time dragging him, and he bled a lot right there on the spot. I could be wrong. That's my line of thinking.
I'd like to speak to Mr. Pinchetti and Matista. Do you have somewhere I might have a private conversation with them?
Of course, of course. Let me think. Matista is entertaining the guests somewhere, and Santos...
Somewhere.
Oh, yes. He will be busy with the servants. Or the cook. What's that noise? What's going on?
Freeze, filth. You're under arrest.
I wasn't expecting this. Oh my god! A little bit of priest brutality there. Okay.
Committed a crime, and now I have to free you, kiss your hand, and apologize for the inconvenience. Your Grace.
I did tell you that Mr. Vogel and I were innocent. I emphasized it in my statement.
Your statement? Thanks to some bigwigs who work for the so-called good of the country by releasing fleas like you. Thank God we have Vogel in his letter. Once I get to that goldfish, I'll...
Bigwig. Oh, my wretched brother Mycroft and his long nose.
Wait, did you say Mycroft? Mycroft Holmes? Are you the youngest son of Violet Holmes, rest her soul?
You my mother?
You knew my mother?
Not personally, no. Not exactly. I was working on the paperwork for that case.
Would you happen to remember anything of the events?
Well, I didn't make the inquiry, but I remember seeing some notes. Why?
Me, Bob. Hey, Rala. How are you tonight? Perhaps we can negotiate?
Perhaps we can negotiate. I could be quite useful.
Huh. Got you hooked, right? You know what? Stark and the others think they're the smartest here, thanks to you. Let me get this straight. Are you listening to me, lad?
I'm all ears.
Take this case. Report to me only, to Constable Harvey Oswald. I'll leave everything I have on this table. Find the murderer. Be a real copper. Question the suspects, make them sing, give me something substantial.
And if Mr. Vogel is not a suspect?
If he's innocent, then you can take your favourite degenerate away from here. If you slip or mess with the evidence, then trust me, your brother won't save you from my bludgeon. Meanwhile, I'll be checking the archive for you. If anybody asks, then you're a consulting detective.
Let's make a start then, partner.
I'm glad we managed to get the scoop before the raid.
I drink pop, well, for a long time, so I don't think the caffeine works as well unless it's like an energy drink. Like last night I had an energy drink, but then again I stayed up to like 3 a.m.
Look, I found Werner.
I don't know if any of that's gonna work. Constable Oswald freed me, said I could find the documents relating to my mother's death in exchange for helping solving this case. Is there something in there I'm supposed to read? Oh yeah. White on white's kind of hard to see. Following the report from a witness of a satanic ritual who claimed to have found a body, the raid on Manchio's mansion was granted. It resulted in the arrest of multiple suspects and dispersal of a group in masks and robes caught in the act of grossly indecency and unnatural behavior. The body of the victim was found lying on the altar with a knife wound in his chest. The officers identified the victim as Fabio 20, a local performer and artist. Arrested suspects: V. Vogel. Vogel had a letter insulting nature in his possession which had been written by the victim. He claims he had found the body. He's infamous for his eccentric personalities. Me carried a murder weapon. A dagger with the victim's blood. On the other items of the evidence, he was invited by another suspect, Vogel, presumably to obstruct the official investigation. Manchios, the owner of the mansion, organizing a satanic party, paid the victim who participated in the ritual. He had access to the crime scene. Batista, Fabio's partner and participant in the ritual, tried to escape, resisted arrest. Owned a book with a description of the ritual performed on the altar. Some of the guests are temporarily detained for further questioning. Let me look at it.
Back on track to solve the case.
The writer of this ticket has permission to inspect all evidence in case 6260. I've Santos Pichetti, a witness who reports a suspicion of murder at Manchio's mansion in Grand Surrey. During the preparations for a social party, I heard loud noises from the closed altar room. Immediately, I thought the sacrifice of a living being, overviewed by none other than Kurt Manchios. There was blood on the walls, strange symbols, and a dagger in the heart. As soon as I was able to think clearly, I rushed to the police station to report my findings. The station responded to deposition by sending patrol. The witness... Okay. So again, I still think it's the girl. Still think it's the girl. What do you think?
Good day, Mr. Manchios. I am Constable Oswald's partner in this investigation.
Be quick and gentle. Some of your colleagues are untrained boors.
Batman
Although
Origins?
I don't mind meeting young officers. The new blood here.
If you cooperate in finding Fabio's murderer, there will be no need to meet with the Boers again.
That voice. Werner's friend? You're the policeman. What a disappointment.
Only an undercover agent can scour a ditch full of deviants. I am a consulting detective, although I'm capable of replacing the entire department through my consultations.
Sharp-tongued, I like it. May I presume this tongue will get us out of this trouble? I would be so indebted and glad to repay you.
Nothing's changed. I'm looking for the murderer. That's the only way to get us out of trouble.
But it shouldn't take much time, correct? We're all busy, after all.
I need to examine you first.
All right. Let's check him out. Little schnoz. Where's makeup? Washed hands in a hurry. That could be because of his makeup. Lavishly expensive. Rash from exposure to hair dye. Hides his age. Or cleanliness. Yeah, it works for both. I think he likes to hide his age. Yeah, we're gonna wear makeup or hide your age. I'll do that.
You are a little over the top with your use of makeup, Mr. Manchios. Is it so difficult for you to acknowledge your age?
Well, Sherlock, that's easy for you to say to an old man when you look as though you are barely 15.
But still, it shouldn't be an issue for someone of your status.
For people of my age, it isn't an issue, no. But the younger ones can be so afraid of wrinkles and grey flecks. I have to adapt.
Such a methodical man who cares for his body but misses the soap under his fingernails. Are you so impatient, or perhaps even impulsive?
I wouldn't call myself that. Silly little details. If I missed it, it wasn't important. Or rather, it was less important than who or what I was focused on.
What about the events?
Mr. Vogel told me a little about your parties, but I would like to know more directly from you.
I'm all yours, Sherlock. You have me arrested and locked here, with you alone.
Why did you invite Vogel?
Why did you invite Mr. Vogel as your special
Yes,
guest?
embrace the old age.
He's a pretty fellow. He's capable of surprising the public. He has a talent for saying words that no one else would wish to either say or hear.
I suppose I can't argue with that.
He is a free addition to the eccentricity of the party, which is fine by me, as long as it enhances my party.
Whom do you invite?
I'd like to know who you usually invite to your parties.
Free minds who are able to leave reality for an evening, who can taste forbidden fruit without prejudice. There is nothing that quite spices up life like these parties, assuming one is old enough and has worked many years for the good of one's country.
Oh, all true laborers, I see.
What was Fabio like?
What was Fabio like? His personality, his habits? Anything you can tell me?
He was the brightest star of my parties. Young, magnetic, and full of energy. I don't even want to mention his beauty. Otherwise, I'll be sobbing.
An expensive champion, I imagine.
His performances were flawless. He deserved his payment. Do you think he was murdered because of money?
Possibly. What about the other guests? Were they used to opening their wallets as well?
I wouldn't restrict my guests from anything. I'm sure Fabio received a few coins from others for his services.